So making the side band for the crown, you've got this same equipment that you had last week. You have your your collar, your block stand standing by. You've got a bit of cardboard, and I've cut enough so that it has a straight edge, so I used a ruler for that. And I'm just going to wrap that around the collar. Now it will be a little bit fiddly until you start getting it stuck onto the collar, but I'm holding that closed and just using a fair bit of it, sticky tape actually, just sealing that so that it's like a Christmas hat. And then the next thing I'm going to do is just put some sticky tape over the edge and underneath so that it's starting to hold on to the thing. Now what I'm doing is I'm just going to show you here, going over the edge of my ironing board and then putting the sticky tape onto the side of the crown, and then I'm just flipping it in underneath so that it's holding it onto the collar. Now I'll do that, run it maybe 4 times, and I'll just go across here like this and just rub it onto the bottom until it starts to feel like it's not going anywhere, because you don't want it to be out of your control. You want it to be doing the right thing. So now it's holding on, and there's that much sticky tape underneath. You can see it's not super neat, but it's going to do the trick. Next thing we need to do is just pop this onto the block stand so that you've got a decent bit of height to it. I'll just move it over there so you get a good view of it. And I've got my sticky tape here, and I'm just going to put a little bit of extra down the side so that that's going to hold securely. And I think the only time this doesn't totally work is when people don't have enough or strong enough sticky tape. So do make sure that you get it really stuck together securely. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Now, to make this taper inwards, what we need to do is just cut down to the side, and then we're going to do this several times so you'll get the hang of it. And sticky tape on one side. Now when we're overlapping, we're going to do this a lot less than we did with the brim, because we don't want this to taper so much that it doesn't properly go down onto the head. So we're just going to do fewer and do small overlaps here. So there's my first one, and you can see now already that's starting to look like it's leaning inwards. And remember, it can't go smaller than your head, because otherwise it won't sit on your head in the right way. So we just do a little bit here. And we're going to do exactly the same as we did last time. We're going to choose a side that we like the look of, and then we're going to fold the thing in half and use that half to make it symmetrical, because that is important as well, that we have it symmetrical. Unless you can do a deliberately asymmetrical piece, but it's symmetrical is what most people want for their sun hats. So just a little overlap, and then sticky tape that down. Remember, this has to be a straight slope. It can't be a curved slope. When hopefully I'll have you next year, and I'll show you how to do the curved ones using a slightly different technique. Okay, so just very slightly overlap there. Now, having a look at that, that's heading in the right direction. See how it's just got a little bit of a taper? That's all I really need. So maybe one more here, and that might just about do us. Now, I have told you the technical terms are pretty easy to remember. This is the side band. The line down the bottom where it meets your head and it meets the brim, that's the headline. And the bit that's going to be across the top is called the tip. not the top, not the, well, I don't know what else it could be called. So if you were doing this construction, it is called tip and side band. So, and that applies to every sort of hat, not just the flat pattern ones. It's handy when you're talking to other milliners about the construction if you know those words. So I've just put a bit of sticky tape on the inside. Now let's have a look at that. Maybe one more, maybe. I don't know. I reckon that might just about be all right. Now, I'm thinking the height is an issue, and I want to perhaps shorten it a fraction. And to do that, I'm going to just get, it is now 13 and a bit centimetres. I think it's going to be nicer if it's more like 10 centimetres. So using a marker pen or whatever you have, really, you can just do a couple of little dots. Oh, come on, tape measure. We'll start at the top and go down to the 10. So there's the 10 there. And going around, just a couple of little marks just to give us something to refer to when we're cutting. So when you're preparing this cardboard, make it as tall or a tad taller than you want it to be. Here we go. There we go. And so you can modify the height as and when you need to. So I'm just going to cut down to that line there, or down to those dots, and I'm just going to use my eye to go along there like that. This collar happens to be a tiny bit smaller than my head fit, so when I get to trace this out, I will be doing the same method that I did last time, and I know that I have to get my adjusted head measurement, and the seam has to be identical to the distance on the inside edge of the brim. Now I'm just tidying that up. That's starting to look a little bit like the proportions I'm after. By the way, on the internet at the moment, there's a lot of talk about these type of hats being the height of fashion. So we've really hit our stride there. Now also, centre front mark. I know I've used this collar upside down. So if I look here, I'll see the centre front mark just there behind the dot. So I can sit it on its upside down, and I can just do a little mark. It's on the sticky tape, which is not ideal, but I'm just going to label that the CF so that I can work out where to do the fold from. And now I'm just going to cut that sticky tape to take it off, and I'm going to just try this on in front of the mirror to make sure that it's in the proportion that I want it to be. And if it is, then I'm going to do the same technique that I did last week for turning that into a pattern. I will make a demo of that, but if you remember that well, you can just go straight ahead. Okay, let's drop this out. And centre front is here. Try that on. And hello, here I am.